1/3 in bed, 1/3 at work, 1/3 with your family. We often have more relationships with the people at work than we do at home, especially in today's society. So if you're not enjoying your work, you need to seriously think of it. Do I need to change? And if you do and you're afraid, well, then you need to look at, well, what am I afraid of? Am I just thinking worst case, or am I actually thinking about what it's going to cost, you know? In reality, what's the best case scenario if I quit?
Are we happy?
Yeah, exactly. That would be number one. There are some hard choices when you come to stress, and most of them will hit you directly in the face. Because a lot of the stress that we have in our lives, we have put there ourselves. And the strategies that you use can certainly help eliminate some of them, not all of them, but hopefully you can develop some strategies to deal with them better. I really want to leave you empowered and think about, you know, what one thing in my life today is stressing me the most. And go home and do a cost-benefit analysis. Number one, is it a thing that I have to have, or is it a thing that I'm doing at the moment that I just can't avoid at the moment? Or is it something I can get rid of altogether? And what's certainly the best case scenario? And do the worst case scenario. Because I'm going to tell you, 9 out of 10 times, if you do an objective worst case scenario, it's not that bad. Because if you don't have a job and you don't have money, okay, the worst case scenario essentially is that you have no money and you're on the street. But you'll often still have your life. It's just we want those luxuries. Now you have a, you know, certainly you should have some luxuries in your life. But we've got to look at, is it eating us, or is it actually, you know, giving us a quality of life? When we think about our food, there are some hard choices that you have to make. We could be really blunt. We often don't. We don't like telling people they're overweight. We certainly don't like to tell them that being overweight will, you know, lead to premature death. The research is quite clear. You certainly will have chronic illness, need more medications if you don't change it yourself. The reason we don't, number one, we're afraid to tell people. Number two, we don't like talking about negative consequences with other people. Why? Because intuitively you're designed to be happy, well. And so deal with yourself first before we start knocking on other people's doors. Okay. Any questions? Cool.
Yeah, I do.
Cool.
No, I do. If your stress is created by something that you can't control, let's say a family member that is chronically ill.
Yep.
Dealing with that, would that be more of an acceptance?
No, if you've got a family member that's chronically ill,
Like you can't change it.
you can't change a chronic illness. 9 out of 10 is not, because the person is responsible for their own life. Okay, and if you want to change them, well, that's only going to eat you up, because that person has to want to make the change first. So you can choose to keep the stress of trying to change, or yeah, you will have to accept that you have no control over it, because you literally don't have control over another person. Now, it may even come to the point, and this is again pretty harsh, that if you have a choice, you either need to stay with that person or you need to cut them out, which isn't always doable, I guess, to some degree, but ultimately it is, but it might be too harsh or not in your character to do that. Because in the end, you don't need to be around people that make you feel bad.
No. Oh, no.
And some interesting facts you need to know is that if you think about your salary, you'll learn this in goal setting, basically you'll be making about within, I think, 20% of where your 5 closest friends are. So if you're on $100,000, your friends will be somewhere between $80,000 and $120,000. So if you want to earn more money, you might need to meet some friends who are actually making more money, so you can learn the strategies to do that. It's all about creating strategies. Certainly it's not about, oh, please drop money in my lap. No, you got to take action, okay? And it's often the inaction that causes us to feel stressed. So that's where, if we can hit stress head on, or these stressful events head on, we can make change in our life. Okay? But does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. Any other questions? Cool.